Week 10 is done. Finally. Let's get into it. It is Sunday, April 27th when I'm filming this. Definitely off schedule from my normal Tuesday cadence, but I'm still doing the check-ins. I'm still getting the week's work done for the most part. So I'm feeling pretty good. So before we start off with that, I am gonna do a little emotional mental check-in with myself to put it on record. I am feeling really good this week. I'm feeling really, really, really good. I think this feeling is coming from a fact that I will be closing out on 2 big projects that I've been working on for the longest time, which is this program, of course, but also graduation. I graduate with my associate's degree this Saturday, and that'll be the end of my journey with community college and getting a degree, one of many degrees completed. And then I'm off to DePaul, which I just could not be more excited about. And yeah, that's just how I'm feeling. I'm feeling pretty accomplished. I'm feeling really great. I mean, even the weather has just been amazing, and that I find has a huge impact on my mood. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about my future and about the hard work that I've been putting in. And I don't really like to acknowledge those things in that way. It's, to be truthful, it feels uncomfortable for me to say my accomplishments out loud because there's just so much more that I want to do, and that's how I think of it. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's an associate's degree, but I have a bachelor's degree that I ultimately is the better and more important thing, which obviously it's something that I want to do, and it is technically on a higher level, but I also need to recognize that it was a huge jump for me to go back to school and rearrange my life the way that it did. My life has drastically changed over the last year since I decided to go back to school, and I've had to put in a lot of hard work and turn into somebody that is dedicated to myself, really. And this is worth accomplishing. It's worth acknowledging the accomplishment. It's worth celebrating, which I will be celebrating with my family this week. I mean, they're just going to go to the graduation and maybe we'll have dinner after, and that's honestly all I need. I just want to have my family there, and that is the most important thing to me. So if I can't acknowledge those accomplishments as being big, at least I know that my family's going to be there, and that's how I know, just by sheer value, when they are there, it is valuable to me, and I should give myself a little pat on the back at the very least, which I'm doing. So there's that, and I realized that I actually started this program around the same time as the semester began, and it's also finishing up around the same time, so it's feeling like a graduation overall of some sorts, of me finally completing a chapter. And contrary to what I've done in the past, I tend to pick up a lot of projects that I'm interested in, but I never finish them, or at least very rarely finish them. And this is contrary to what my old behaviors were, which were, I'm actually finishing this shit. And that's a great thing. Okay, so yeah, how I'm feeling good, feeling like the end is near, but in a good way. And it'll just be going back to work after a little celebration. So I'm just really happy. I'm really happy. I wrote and am currently producing a song that I wrote recently over the last 2 weeks or so. So I got to play around in Logic and build a new song again, which I haven't done in a very long time, at least not to the extent that I have worked on it. Like, I put in a good amount of the structure of the song in Logic and, you know, messed with the EQ, the levels, like structuring out the song. I haven't done that in a very long time, and I felt really good about it because it was fun. It was fun again. It was fun, first of all, getting to work on the computer that I'm working on, because I've never worked on a big like Mac before. I was always working on like a little laptop, like the one that I have right now, but I have all the tools at my disposal, and I've just been having fun in Logic. I edited the first like pilot episode of my podcast with my best friend, and we're currently in the phase of reviewing it and giving feedback on it so that we can take those notes for future episodes. Like I have done more creative work over the last couple months than I have in the last 6 years that I have felt a creative block in a way. And that is an accomplishment in and of itself. So lots of things are getting done, guys. And this was the whole point, is that I was just trying to exercise my brain into getting back into that creative world again, which is my world that I belong in. I belong in that world. Anyways, what the fuck am I talking about? Okay, let's get into week 10. Okay, so week 10 was all about recovering a sense of protection. This was a great chapter, and this talked about workaholism. Very interesting themes. I talked about this before. I think in last week's, again, I always seem to be one step ahead of the chapters that Julia is talking about, and it's just fascinating to me. So week 10, this week we'll explore the perils that can ambush us on our creative path. Because creativity is a spiritual issue, many of the perils are spiritual perils. In the essays, tasks, and exercises of this week, we search out the toxic patterns we cling on to that block our creative flow. So the different types of paths that she talks about are workaholism. What does she talk about? I mean, there's lots of big themes that she talks about that block creativity. I just need to find the place where she actually lists them out. Okay. Yes, okay. Note. Now note carefully that food, work, and sex are all good in and of themselves. It is the abuse of them that makes them creativity issues. So she lists work, food, and sex as potential creative droughts if we abuse them to a certain extent. And so she breaks down how those things may manifest in the reader's life. So I thought that was really interesting. I would say that workaholism was probably the one I related to the most, and there were just so many good breakdowns, like understanding that if the creativity is like a burst of the universe breath through the straw that is in each of us, we pinch that straw whenever we pick up one of those blocks. We shut down our own flow, and we do it on purpose. Those are one of the hard truths that Julia does talk about, and she is pretty harsh when it comes to that, but she's very right about it. A lot of these things that we struggle with are self-imposed, and once we recognize that as the reader, the more then we can move on from it and find a creative solve in order to overcome those obstacles. She has us do a workaholism quiz, which was really fun, where basically we answer a statement and we answer it with seldom, often, or never. I don't know if I'm necessarily a workaholic, but I'm always trying to find something else to work on. Like I've discussed this before, there is really not an hour in the day where I can just do nothing. I have to be doing something. I have to be doing something productive. I have to be doing something that moves me forward in whatever I'm working on. I find it very difficult to sit still with myself, which is an important part of being creative, is to just be and sit still and not always be on the hamster wheel that I feel like I've always been on. But again, it's been self-imposed. These are all things that I do to myself. And, there's that. And What else does she talk about? In order to recover our creativity, we must learn to see workaholism as a block instead of a building block. Work abuse creates in our artist the Cinderella complex. We are always dreaming of the ball and always experiencing the ball and chain, which is a bar, I will say. Great line that she put there. Then she talks about droughts and what that means. In any creative life, there are dry seasons. Those droughts appear from nowhere and stretch to the horizon like a death valley vista. Life loses its sweetness. Our work feels mechanical, empty, forced. We feel we have nothing to say, and we are tempted to say nothing.
Are you reciting stuff?
Yeah, I'm filming my chicken. Yeah. Yeah. No, you said, did I ruin it?
Are you you're filming?
Yeah.
Oh,
On my laptop.
sorry.
No, it's okay. What's up?
I'll show it to you later.
Okay. Okay, so through the drought, during a drought, I just accurately wrote, during a drought, we are fighting with God. We have lost faith in the great creator and our great selves, which is pretty true in how I feel like I felt over the last 6 years of being in a creative drought. 6 years might be stretching it, but 6 years sounds about right. You know. Okay. But she does reassure us that droughts do in fact end. So she goes into that. She talks about fame and competition, which were also great concepts. And under competition, there was a great paragraph that I'm going to read that I double underlined. As artists, we cannot afford to think about who is getting ahead of us and how they don't deserve it. The desire to be better than can choke off the simple desire to be. As artists, we cannot afford this thinking. It leads us away from our own voices and choices and into a defensive game that centers outside of ourselves and our sphere of influence. It asks us to define our own creativity in terms of someone else's. T. When we respond to art, we are responding to its resonance in terms of our own experience. I mean, yeah, this was probably one of my favorite chapters so far of the program. All right, now let's move into the actual check-in questions. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? Has reading your pages changed your writing? Are you still allowing yourself to write them freely? I wrote them 6 out of 7 days. I didn't write them yesterday because I had a full morning full of shit to do, but I did do my morning pages today. So 6 out of 7 days, I did my morning pages. Has reading your pages changed your writing? I actually haven't really been reading past pages. Maybe I'll get to it, but I don't really feel the need to look back at any pages at all. And yes, I am allowing myself to write them freely. I'm afraid that if I do read past morning pages, that it's going to make me self-conscious about how I write, and I just don't want to subject myself to that. So I'm still writing them freely and writing them as if no one's going to read them and no one's watching me write them, which has been great. Artist dates. No. Did you experience any synchronicity this week? What was it? I mean, synchronicity, it's just, yeah, I mean, synchronicity, if you want to count it as this program and my graduation syncing up at the same time, or wrapping up at the same time, yeah, I would say that would be my synchronicity. Were there any other issues this week that you considered significant to your recovery? Describe them. I think the biggest thing that I am trying to, or have really realized, is accepting the things that I cannot change. Like in my morning pages, I often find myself complaining about work and about these really big systemic issues that I quite frankly cannot change. They will not change, and I'll have allowed that to stress me out in a way. And I finally made peace with the acceptance part of those things. And it's lifted a burden off of my back, the self-imposed burden that I've had on my back for a while. So yeah, work is not shit to me. I don't care. I'm going to do my job and I'm going to make sure that I do it well, but I'm not going to worry about things outside of what I can control. Even people, like there are people at work that I just cannot change, and it is what it is, and I'm just not going to be bothered by it anymore. You can't make me. I don't have enough energy or time for that. I have a life to live, and work is not my life. This job, at least, is not my life. So anyways, that's kind of how I'm feeling. I have shit to do today. It's almost 11:30, and that's my check-in. So check in next week for week 11, which is recovering a sense of autonomy, and I'll give the little preview. This week, we focus on our autistic autonomy. We examine the ongoing ways in which we must nurture and accept ourselves as artists. We explore the behaviors that can strengthen our spiritual base and, therefore, our creative power. We will take a special look in ways in which success must be handled in order that we not sabotage our freedom. We take a special look at the ways in which success must be handled in order that we not sabotage our freedom. Interesting way of wording that. But, girl, chapter 1, acceptance. And I didn't even read that. Hello, I'm telling you, I'm fucking ahead of the curve here. I'm always ahead of it. What did I just talk about? I just talked about acceptance. I did not read that first page. Crazy. Anyways, that's it. Bye.